Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynic Alex, and today I want to talk to you guys about Universal Supervillain Extreme Alliance Battle and how you can position yourself to get a high score and to reach at least the threshold of 100,000 points in order to get your maximum rewards in terms of gold and ISO 8 drops. Now, the tricky thing or the challenging part about getting a high score and setting yourself up to get a high score in the Universal Supervillain mode is twofold. The first problem is that the most likely villain that you have, especially for new players, is probably going to be Loki. And unfortunately, the normal Alliance battle, as you can see up here for this same day, is the female gender-specific day. So if you don't have Sharon Rogers, or you don't have like Tier 2 Black Widow or Tier 2 Elsa, or another female character that can clear that round for you, it will be very difficult for you to clear it because you cannot use Loki twice. As you can see here, I used Hela in my first round with a different character, and now I can't use Hela because she's grayed out. So please keep that in mind, that you will potentially need to build another character on top of Loki. If you plan on using Loki for the Extreme Supervillain Universal boss battle and Meteor, then you won't be able to use Loki for the female Meteor battle. Even if you unequip the uniform, it doesn't matter. Now, as far as Universal Supervillains go, you can see that the list is very short. This is the second shortest list for typing that we have in the game. The only other list that's shorter is the Combat Supervillain list. And as you can see as well, unfortunately, 6 of these characters are Black Order. So this is going to be a very difficult day for you if you're a free-to-play player, or, thank you for the Dimension Rift, if you're a new player. So barring those scenarios, what you ideally want to do is you want to set up either Corvus if you have him, or if you don't have him, Loki. Loki will definitely get you over 50,000 points. I think if you have Loki tier 2, or if you build your Loki extremely offensively, you may be able to touch down 100,000, but it's going to probably take multiple tries because Loki's clones don't always attack where you want them to. They don't always attack the Frost Beast and the mobs, so you may lose damage there, and you can get unlucky with RNG and stuff like that if the targeting is really off and fall below your score. With a Corvus team, ideally you want to have Thanos and Proxima to get the Cabal and Couples Night Out bonuses. This is obviously the best setup for the Universal Supervillain Day, and it's going to primarily rely on Corvus for clearing the mode and getting you all the points. However, this is an extremely high cost team, so I can understand why a lot of people watching and a lot of people in general won't be able to build this team. Alternatively, you can build him with Ronin, which will give almost identical of a leadership as Thanos would. However, you won't get the team up bonuses, but that's okay. And then if you do have even like a 1 or a 2-star Black Dwarf, you can pair him again for the You Have Been Judged and Brothers Grimm bonuses, which gives a pretty nice 5% all attack, crit rate, and attack speed, which are all 3 very useful stats for Extreme Alliance Battle. So this is probably the best setup. Also, if you don't have Ronin, then I guess you could go with someone like Ultron, but this is getting into really poor territory, so I wouldn't suggest it. As far as Loki goes, of course you want to pair him with Ronin, and then you could throw Black Dwarf in there if you have him, or just any other Universal Supervillain that you do have, and then you're just gonna roll for it. Let's check out the gears before we check out the actual gameplay. I haven't had much experience with Loki myself, but I will detail for you what I would think to be the most offensive build for Loki that you can have that's going to make this day the easiest for you. So you want to go with all attack or energy attack on the first stat, or the first gear. You want to go all defense on the second, HP on the third, and then you want to mix and match skill cooldown and defense penetration in order to max out both of them. So as you can see here, my cooldown duration is 38%. That's too high. It should be 36, so I should go back and edit it. And then my ignore defense is only 44%. I can still upgrade that by 6% and get to 50, which is the cap, so I should do that. As far as an ISO 8 set goes, you want to go with something offensive like Power of Angry Hulk or Hawk's Eye or Overdrive. However, Loki does have skill cooldown on his first gear here, on his first stat for his fur cloak. So I think Hawk's Eye is probably going to be a little bit overkill, and it's actually going to always put you over the cap unless you have really weak skill cooldown from your cards. So consider that and maybe do the math ahead of time so you don't waste ISOs and equip ones for Hawk's Eye if it's going to give you more than 36%. So I would prioritize Power of Angry Hulk or overdrive in that situation. As far as his skills go, you just want to max out energy barrier and mind games. The other skills don't need to be at level 6 at all. And then the interesting thing is actually the obelisk. A damage proc obelisk, which is very common for a lot of other characters recommended for Extreme Alliance Battle, like this one for example, with the increased damage 140%. That's not going to be good for Loki. Loki doesn't do damage based on his attacks, he does it based on his clones' attacks, and his clones can't take advantage of that damage proc. On top of that, unfortunately, the Frost Beast for this day has a penetration attack. As you can see here on the intel, the Frost Beast in this stage uses penetration attack. That means that Loki's shield will get pierced and Loki will take damage normally, even if the shield is up. So for that situation, and in that case, you actually want an an invincibility proc obelisk. So you want an obelisk that when Loki drops below 50% or 40%, it triggers an invincibility for 4 or 5 seconds. So this would be a very, very good obelisk for Loki if I was gearing him specifically for the Universal Supervillain Day. This gives defense penetration, all defense is nice, and the invincibility is perfect, especially because of the penetration on the Frost Beast. All defense is probably not the best stat, of course, but you kind of have to take what you can get. But just keep in mind that if you just go with the recovery set, Loki will probably still get one-shotted by some of the Frost Beast's attacks, and it will make it extremely difficult, if not impossible, for you to get 100,000 points and to maximize your rewards on the Supervillain Universal Day. As far as Corvus goes, if you do have him, if you do have part or all of the Cabal team, you want to gear your Corvus and his glaive, not his halberd, his glaive, with physical attack on the first gear, all defense on the second, HP on the third, and then again mix and match cooldown, defense penetration, and crit damage or crit rate, depending on your needs. Now I already have very, very high crit damage for Corvus, and I already have maxed out defense penetration, and I already have maxed out cooldown, so I actually rolled crit rate. But, you know, that's not going to be the case for a lot of people, so, you know, just keep that in mind. Don't try to match me exactly just because I have those stats. And then for the obelisk, you want, of course, to max out your defense penetration, so you want that. Crit damage is also very nice if you can roll both. That's going to really increase his damage. And then you also want a damage proc. Very similar to the things I've talked about as far as obelisks for the speed heroes, obelisks for the blast heroes, obelisks for basically every other Extreme Alliance battle. You really want that damage proc. Loki is the only character that is not really going to take good use out of that. As far as the skills goes for Corvus Glaive, the only one that you really need to max out is Deadly Charge, because it's going to increase the Outriders stats, and that's going to make them do more damage to the Frost Beast, and it's going to rack up your score faster. As far as the ISO set goes, you want to go with an offensive set, because even if you fuck it up with Corvus and you die, you get a second chance, so you should not be playing defensively. You should go all out, you know, glaives to the wall action. So go with something like Overdrive, or go with something like Power of Angry Hulk. He does have skill cooldown as a secondary stat on his gauntlets, so I don't think that Hawkeye is going to be the most efficient use of skill cooldown for Corvus. Let's go and check out how Corvus plays in the Universal Supervillain Day. I am going to be using the Cabal team, and we'll go through his rotation pretty succinctly. As far as Loki goes, I'm pretty sure you guys all know how to play as him. You cast the clones, you cast the bubble, the shield, the barrier, and then you run around and you kite. You just need to be especially careful of the Frost Beast if you're playing as Loki, because of the penetration. So we're gonna wait and let the mobs zone in here like we've been doing frequently. I think that this is hands down the best way to increase your score, as opposed to just starting it up right away. We're going to switch immediately over to Corvus. We're going to catch his 5th skill, interrupt it into the 4th skill, and then interrupt that into the 2nd skill. So as you can see there, there's actually 2 interruptions that take place, and then you're going to ideally get 2 casts of his Pain Wheel, which is his 2nd skill, that skill that I'm doing right now. You want to be able to get 2 casts of that in before your 5th skill comes down again, and then you can cast that and rotate back through. The reason why you want to have the Outriders up all the time is because both the Frost Beast and the Meteors are actually going to target the Outriders instead of you. So as you can see here, I'm going to back up, I'm going to trigger my Obelisk to do more damage, and then my Outriders are just going to take all of the aggro or the aggression of the Frost Beast and the targeting of the Meteors, and it's going to allow me, as you can see, my bar for the dodge evasion points has been at 100% this entire time. And as long as I can keep the clones up. The meteors should not target me unless I'm really unlucky. And oh well, they targeted me there because I lost my clones. I didn't realize that. But you just want to cycle through the 4th skill or the 5th skill, then the 4th skill, then the 2nd skill. And then, but you don't want to cycle through that exactly, because as you can see, the 5th skill doesn't come off cooldown fast enough. So you actually do 5, 4, 2, and then sprinkle in the 3 and go back to the 2, and then you'll be able to go back to the 5 and then back to the 4. So it's a bit of a modified rotation. It's not exactly perfect from one skill to the other because you do double back for certain skills, but casting the 5th skill is most important for you to get on a timer because it is going to grant you immunity for 5 seconds. So if you forget to cast that, you are probably going to find yourself in a lot of trouble. You're going to take a lot of damage. You might die again. So make sure that you don't forget to do that because it is probably the most important part of this rotation. And just keep your clones up as much as possible because they are going to be the difference between you getting hit by meteors and you not getting hit by meteors like I just did there accidentally. So I'm not doing terribly well right now. I actually just died with Corvus, partly because I'm talking, partly because I'm just not terribly good at this game mode. But if you do die and you have the Cabal team, thankfully you have both Thanos and Proxima to clean up with. Ideally, you just want to stick with Proxima if Corvus dies because Thanos just doesn't deal enough burst damage to make a meaningful impact in this game mode. But I also just died with Proxima, so now I'm going to have to, end it with Thanos. So this is probably my worst run of this game mode to date. I usually get about 150 to 170 with Corvus, but you can get well over 200,000 with Corvus if you have all of the required obelisks and gear setups and if you play extremely well with Corvus. As you guys could see there, for almost the first minute, I had the meteor evasion point bonus maxed out, and so if you can keep that maxed out for the full 3 minutes, you can crush scores and you can probably almost double what I just did. But hopefully that skill rotation helped you out. If you missed it there or you can't remember, it's 5 into 4 into 2, and then you rotate through the 2nd skill pain wheel twice, and then you repeat that strategy. And you use Peekaboo. You don't run through the skill at all. You just cancel it immediately, but you get the immunity. And then you cast Deadly Charge to get the summons up, and then you go right into DPSing with Pain Wheel. Pain Wheel is where you're going to do 99% of your damage that the clones are not doing as they get summoned and do damage. So hopefully that's been helpful to you guys that are either gearing up for Supervillain Extreme Alliance Battle Universal Day, or if you already are geared up but you don't know exactly what rotations or what positioning to put your character in. In general, you want to stick pretty close to the Frost Beast to know what he's doing and to avoid the lunges and stuff like that. If you can get as well immune to Guard Break Obelisk for Corvus, it's very, very helpful because then if the beast does happen to target you while you're doing Pain Wheel, even if they lunge into you, they won't interrupt you, and then you can shotgun the damage because it is a multi-laned skill, and you can deal even more damage and rack up even more points. So hopefully that's been helpful for you guys. Hopefully you can improve your scores with my tips and with this suggestions in this video. And of course, guys, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.